Hi guys, it's been a while since I've done a self-development mental health video. I stopped at how you should master your emotions because anything that inspired me to talk about that topic or to decide to delve into that topic is because it has recently arisen or has shown up in my environment, and then decided to put together everything that I think will be helpful for people to know, which is why I'm doing these videos. Recently, there's a lot of talks about being productive, right? Productivity is the golden word. We're all always trying to be efficient, effective, productive. I think some people who are hearing me talk about these three words, maybe it will trigger them, because on one end of things, people see that people who are trying to be very effective, efficient, and productive all the time are like overachievers and just trying so hard to control things that they cannot control. And then on the other end of the spectrum, people who are very productive, very efficient, they will start judging those people that don't really work like them, and they start thinking that they are lazy. Let me tell you which camp I fall under. The word intensity has always been linked to the things that I do. It's just that recently I have shifted things around a little bit. I was listening to a podcast. It's Chris Williamson. His podcast is called Modern Wisdom. I think you should all check it out if you don't know. I listen to his podcast a lot, not just for the fact that he has a good voice. It's very easy to listen to. He invites very interesting people to talk about very interesting topics. So for example, uncomfortable truth about human psychology. What are the brutal lessons that people have learned in the past. He interviewed a lot of people that I admire, like Jordan Peterson and Alex Hormozi, about entrepreneurship. This video, as the title already states, what are the three things that people see as not productive but is actually productive? For this hybrid working style, people are starting to work more remotely. Gone are the days where you need to show like you are clocking in hours and hours of labor intensive work in order to prove that you can produce quality work or achieve the result. I think we are getting with technology and the things that we can do. Coupled with AI, obviously, we can be a lot more productive, efficient in very simple ways. In ways that you cannot imagine. It's a lot more simpler than how it was in the past. I think those people who are still obviously Generation X, I do not know how they are adapting to today's world, on how the millennials and the Gen Zs are working, to be honest. So the key things that I took away from the podcast is that, number one, taking regular breaks. When I say taking regular breaks, it's because I've learned this method when it comes to deep work. How I do my work nowadays is because I'm very aware that I'm a morning person. I prefer to wake up early in the day before my husband wakes up, when the world is still a little bit dark. I feel like I have the time to myself to really focus, concentrate. During moments like this, I don't have my phone next to me and all the notifications, even my Apple Watch I've turned off. I realized for me that if I dedicate my focus really just 1 hour, right? And then having a 10-minute break after that, walk around the house, office, depending on where I'm at, and then coming back and then restart that 1 hour. This kind of interval makes me more productive. What the studies show is that if you can do deep work focus for 2 to 4 hours without any distraction, what I mean by any distraction is whatever that's in your tab that's going to like tempt you to go and switch what you're doing, or even notifications. Sometimes I really like daringly just shut myself out. Maybe my bosses are calling me, I could get into trouble, but I think it's more beneficial that way if I am focused deeply at work and I can fully use my cognitive function to make sure that it's of quality work, and not have this kind of monkey brain where this meeting is happening and I'm replying messages and then I'm trying to do my work. I'll reply somebody else. It's just, I've been there. It's this multitasking thing. I think maybe in my early 20s, it was like my strength, but it's slowly become my weakness. And so multitasking once upon a time, it was something that I tried to preach to people and say, if you can multitask, you are a winner. There are some of us who still have that mentality, okay? It's just that at the end of the day, you're a human being, and the science, you cannot just bluff through the science. As a human being, your bodily function, you have certain duration that you're able to properly concentrate and focus, and moments when you actually need breaks to return to your high levels of concentration and creativity. Second thing that is considered unproductive but is actually productive is going to a coffee shop with your colleague or a friend. Sometimes it's through this kind of meaningful conversation or even small talk that turns into some kind of brainstorming session. When you're not in that situation, when you know that you're in office and then there's this like whole rigid vibe to it, I think this is where it blunts out a lot of creative ideas. This is where you start to become like a instant problem solver. You don't feel this anxiety that sometimes suppresses a lot of the good ideas that you might have. There's so many times I've heard and even experienced it myself when we go out for coffee, when we discuss things over like lunch, when you are also talking about some personal things, but at the same time you're going back to talking about work, right? For some reason, this whole switch, right, your conversation becomes very seamless. You don't really hold back the things that you want to say. The whole communication becomes very, there is a flow to the entire communication, and it just becomes a bit more productive. I've had lunch with some colleagues, and then we started talking about, oh, hey, you know what? Actually, you should do this for your department. Da, 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 da. So it's this kind of non-work activities, right, that you'll be surprised at what great ideas that you can actually have. And therefore, sometimes when we try so hard to force ourselves to fit in the meeting room and then look at the agenda and say, you know what, no matter what it is, we need to think of something. And then we come up with something that everybody don't believe in, and you feel forced, and you know that it's not something that is given proper time to be thought about, planned out. Ultimately, we all want results and we all want things to work. So why make the process intense? But not least, the third thing that is considered not productive but is actually productive is delegating your tasks. This is something that I struggled with early in my days when I first started working. I'm the kind of person that wants to do everything on my own. I'm not really a team player, I must admit. I have to really force myself to be a team player during certain group projects. I feel like I can just do it all on my own, and it's going to be easier because it's all in my head. Just need to find time to do it. Like, why would I trust somebody else and then be worried with the fact that are they going to be able to do it? I had to learn the hard way that I started bearing a lot of tasks that I couldn't cope with, and it started to affect a lot of the things that I was doing. Again, it goes back to that multitasking thing or doing too much. At one point, you don't know what's your priority or your focus. So you end up, instead of having 100% or at least 80% focus on that thing that is very important, you end up distributing your 100% into small little tasks that at the end of the day, those little things you do will never be 100% because you're a human being. I know that it's crazy to say in certain organizations where it's very fast-paced, you will be dead if you say, let me take it one step at a time. Because the priority list doesn't look like a vertical list. It actually looks like a horizontal list where everything is equally important. I think I had to learn this the hard way because I couldn't cope with certain things. I realized that a lot of the things that I did wasn't as of quality. So I started being more focused on planting the seed. What I mean by that is that I try to put more focus on teaching. I try to put more focus on coaching people or teaching people to do the things that I used to do. I know that it doesn't sound productive. Like, oh, I'm going to spend time to teach another person. They may not do it as well as me. I think it's that kind of gamble, that risk you have to take. You never know what the person is capable of. At the end of the day, when you learn a lot about human psychology, you will know how to motivate and inspire them to give that kind of energy or output that you hope for. Nothing is certain. You cannot just expect people to be like you. That's another thing that I will talk on another day, because that deserves a special video. When you delegate your tasks to people, it's going to help you be more focused on the high priority things. At the end of the day, we can all make fun and say that everything we have on our to-do list is a priority. It's like that horizontal list, right? But I'm sure you can analyze it individually and ask yourself, okay, so this task versus this task, what's the worst thing that can happen if I don't do this one now? You need to sit down and think about the pros and cons. And one good tip that someone gave me about evaluating what are your priority is to ask yourself, all these tasks, right? The deadline is one thing. It's if you don't do it now, is it going to impact a lot of people? So very little things like, example, you think that communicating this to somebody or sending that message is not priority. Sometimes it's these things going to impact a lot of people. It's the one that is going to free you up. That is the one that you need to do first because it impacts a lot of people. So we often tend to think that high priority tasks are things that are very heavy, but sometimes it is not. Okay guys, I hope that you found this useful. If you do, please give me a thumbs up, share, hearts, whatever, depending where I'm posting this. If you have not subscribed to me, I hope you will consider, as I will post on a weekly basis, so be it psychology, fashion, or fashion psychology. Hopefully this is up your alley and this can help you to improve your mental wellness. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.